Hi everyone, my name's Lauren and I'm a health science major hoping to become a cardiac sonographer in the future. I'm also very passionate about physical and mental health, especially how people recover and grow after trauma. And so today I'll be sharing how post-traumatic growth, or PTG, and metahabilitation are illustrated through my AI patient, Sarah Johnson's story. So what is PTG and metahabilitation? PTG refers to positive psychological changes that can happen after trauma. It's all about discovering new strengths, deeper relationships, and a renewed sense of purpose through the struggle. Metahabilitation takes things a step further. It's not about getting back to normal. It's all about rebuilding life after trauma or traumas while acknowledging the changes that it brings, and it helps survivors create a future that honors their experience without being defined by it. So my AI patient is Sarah Johnson. She's a 35-year-old female trauma counselor. She grew up in a low-income household where financial stress was constant. Her father, a veteran, struggled with PTSD, and her mom's side of the family has a history of anxiety and depression. Despite these challenges, Sarah had one steady source of support, her grandmother, who had provided emotional stability and helped foster resilience in her, along with a few others. And that relationship was a powerful epigenetic influence in her development. Today, Sarah works at a nonprofit that supports survivors of domestic violence. And she's also a mom of two and someone with a strong social support system, including a therapist, a supportive spouse, and her close friends. Her emotional intelligence, resilience, and lived experience give her deep insight into the work she does and the people she supports. So her survivor experience is that 2 years ago, she was in a serious car accident, which left her with both physical injuries and emotional trauma. She experienced PTSD symptoms like nightmares and struggled with anxiety and fatigue, and inability to work added to the financial stress, triggering her childhood fears. However, Sarah, she did not stay stuck. She turned to therapy. She relied on her support system, and she began using the MetaHab Survivor Workbook, which shifted her focus from survival to growth. So working through the workbook gave Sarah the space to explore her emotions, especially anxiety, sadness, and hope. And instead of ignoring these feelings, she began to understand their purpose. She also reflected on her immediate reaction after the accident. That is, feeling like everything she had worked for was falling apart, but over time she saw that those feelings were just temporary. And therapy helped, and so did the support from her support system and her own self-awareness, and she began to feel proud of how far she'd come. She also tapped into some tools that helped her before, like journaling and mindfulness. And through the MetaHab process, Sarah connected with stages like reflection and reconstruction and showed traits of a metahabilitated survivor: adaptability, resilience, optimism, and insight. In terms of PTG, she experienced growth in several areas, such as personal strength. She gained a deeper sense of inner strength and self-awareness. Relating to others, her relationships deepened, especially with her children and husband. New possibilities, she began to explore alternative therapies and ways to integrate them into her work. Appreciation for life and spiritual change. Her trauma led to a renewed sense of purpose, especially in how she supports others through their own journey. And what stood out most was her mind shift change. She no longer saw healing as returning to who she was before, but as becoming someone even stronger because of what she went through. And my reflection is that creating Sarah helped me see PTG and metahabilitation in a real personal way. Rather than just like reading about recovery and trauma, I was able to apply these concepts to someone's life, even if it was fictional. One challenge I had was making her feel realistic and human, but that process just showed me how deeply personal recovery really is for everyone. So basically, Sarah's journey teaches us that resilience comes from connection, reflection, and a willingness to grow. And the workbook provided the structure she needed to heal with purpose, not just to survive. So thank you so much for listening to her story and for hearing my reflection on this process.